Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at this note-taking app, which is Goodnotes 5, and how I've been able to use it this past school semester as my daily driver and note taker for taking notes during class, and how I've been able to use it to its fullest potential, for me at least, during school. Also, it would really help my channel if you left a like and even subscribed if you want more videos just like this one. More videos are on the way, so hit the bell icon if you don't want to miss them. So here we're in the app, and as you can see, when you open the app, you start off with all your documents, and you can see they're sorted by either name or date. So you have all of your notebooks here, but it's not only limited to your notebooks. You can also have notebooks, folders, images. You could open up your camera and have a picture stored here on the front. You could import something or even take a quick note by double tapping the plus over here. So whatever you want to open up at the start, you can have it over here. So for me during school, I would usually open up a new notebook by doing that. And automatically you're into this new notebook selection where you have all of your paper type, different covers, and the part where you can title your notebook. So let's just say I'm gonna title this Business. So now here you can see all of your different paper types that you can choose from, and something that I really like about Goodnotes is that you have a large assortment of papers that you can choose from. You have the essential papers like a blank sheet of paper, dotted paper, squared paper, which I have selected right now. You also have writing papers that are specifically made for writing. You also have planners, so something that's not as traditional, that you could use for your own maybe personal life, and even music, which I really like because it really gives you a variety of what you specifically need. So here you can also choose the size, which I really like, the size and the color. So you can choose either white or yellow, and you can see the size actually over here. So I usually keep it in A4 because if I ever need to print it, which I never did during the semester, but if I did, A4 would automatically print to regular size paper. But what I really like is that you can really choose from whatever you want. You have letter or tabloid and all these other options, so you're really not limited to the paper types that you have. You can also choose the orientation, so whether you want to write landscape or portrait. For me, I personally like writing portrait better because that's more of what actually writing on paper would be like. And you also have the search function, so basically when you write a note, you can go within the app and you can search for specific words. Let's say I'm searching up something like marketing, then I can type in marketing in the search portion of the app, and then when I type it in, it's going to search it in English, and they have a language selection that you can choose from. If you want to maybe have a Spanish class and you type in a Spanish word, it'll filter through all your pages and notebooks to find that specifically for you. Over here you have all the covers, and again, same deal, you have the size of the cover that you want, the orientation, and the language selection. So they have the most common ones, simple ones, solid ones. They really just have a huge selection that you can choose from, and you can really personalize it however you'd like. So for me personally, I don't really care about the cover, that's not really important to me. But for the paper, I prefer to use the squared paper just over all the other paper options, because it's really good for writing because you get that line structure, but you also get the ability to, maybe if you have to draw shapes or if it's a math related course, then you could use that as well. It's not limited to just writing specifically. So if I click create, it's going to create the notebook, and you'll see here that it's created now. And now here is what your blank notebook looks like. So you have your notebook at the top. So let's just say I want to write business just at the top. You know, you could draw, you could do whatever you want. You could really personalize the cover as much as you like. And then here, as you can see, it just loads automatically up one sheet of paper for you to use. So firstly, when I open up a new note to take notes during class, I get the right pencil size that I want. So something good about Goodnotes 5 is that you get to really be specific about the millimeter that you want. So for me, when I was using paper and pencils, I'd write with 0.7 or 0.5. So over here, 0.3, that's like your really thin one. 0.7, which I have loaded over here, a little bit thicker, and 2 millimeters. This one's good for like titles and whatnot, while this 0.7 is what I'd use to actually take all my notes. And what I really like about Goodnotes 5 is that you can keep them actually locked as presets, I guess. So whenever you want to switch to doing a title, and then notes underneath. And I wouldn't really use the extremely small one. Just personally, the notes that I took, I didn't need to. But if you did need to take, maybe jot something down, you could always do that here. So after choosing the pen size that you want, you could choose the type of pencil that you want, the pen style. So they have a brush pen, which kind of has this like flowy, thin to thick as you write kind of ink, I guess. And as you can see, the more that you write, the faster that you write, it's more thick. The slower that you write, it stays thin. So if you want that sort of effect while you write, you could opt for that one. So as you can see, like maybe if you write cursive, that would be really good. I personally don't know how to write cursive. So if you write cursive, that would probably be good. So for me personally, I choose the fountain pen as it's nice and thick. It doesn't like go extremely, but as you can see, it has that like little small amount of thin to thick, which I kind of like, but I don't like to go extreme like how the brush pen goes. The brush pen is a little bit too much for me. So the fountain pen is kind of like an in-between. The ball pen just stays the same thickness that you write, so it doesn't change at all. So once you have your pen chosen, as you can see within the pen, there's settings for it, so you can disconnect your Apple Pencil or Logitech Crayon, or you could look at the stylus and palm rejection, which I really like because you get to really be specific about how you get to write. So if we look here, Smart Stylus, I have Apple Pencil selected because this uses Apple technology, as you know. Logitech Crayon, linked in the description down below. You can disconnect it, and then you can look at the palm rejection sensitivity. So I have my sensitivity at medium. I think that's fine. You don't need to go overboard with it. And the writing posture. So let's say you write like this. I know some people that write like this, and that's fine. So you can choose where specifically you want your palm to get rejected from. So over here, I have mine like this because I usually write like this. Maybe I could even go for something like that. Really, you can just customize it however you want and whatever your writing style is. That's something that I really like, that it's really more about what your style of writing is, and you get to customize it that way. So now let's look at your eraser options. So for the eraser, you can clear the entire page. What I have selected right now is to erase the entire stroke. So that means that when you write with the pen, say you're writing right here, and you want to erase the entire stroke, as soon as I touch it, boom, it's all gone. Now you could also turn that off if you want to erase pixel by pixel. So if you want to just erase the little top right there, if you want to be more specific about it and not erase everything, then you could do that, and you could get rid of more specifically what you want. But for me, I usually just erase the entire stroke because when I'm writing words and I have to erase something, I don't want to waste time having to go around specifically everywhere. And something that I really like is that you can actually erase highlighter only. So let's say that you are writing and then you get out a highlighter, you highlight over it, erase highlighter only. It's just going to erase the entire stroke because I have entire stroke highlighted right there, and it's only going to erase the highlighter because I have that on. So you get to really be specific about, you know, if you're highlighting a lot of things and maybe you want to erase some of that highlight, you can really nail down on that. I also have auto deselect selected. So basically when I'm writing with the pencil, and now let's say I want to erase something, so I go boom, 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 I erase it, it automatically goes back to the pencil. So I really like that because I don't have to like go back and reach up. It automatically switches back to the pencil. So that really comes in handy when, let's say, you're writing a sentence and let's say you make a mistake, you want to go back, you want to fix it, you can automatically do that, no time is wasted. Highlighters, you have your basic highlighters. They automatically draw straight lines. If you don't want them to do that, you can just toggle that off. As you can see, something that's really good is that the highlighters automatically go underneath the line. So as you can see, it's actually underneath the pen, which I really like. Something that's really cool is for shapes. If you want to draw shapes, it automatically forms it to be a shape, a geometric shape. So let's say I'm drawing a square, and this is again where the grid paper comes in, that it makes it really easy to draw shapes. So see, I went back, but now if I don't go back, automatically becomes a square, and here you can fill in the color. I would usually toggle that off if I'm ever using that, because let's say you need to draw a circle for something, automatically becomes a circle, and you can start writing inside all of your information. You also have a select tool and a picture tool. So if you want to pull up a picture from your iPad, you can automatically just load it in right there. As you can see, you can change the size, orientation, you could stretch and expand it, or just click the undo, redo buttons right up there to change it back. And you really get a lot of choice when it comes to it. And like, see right there, it deselected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the selection tool to now select it again. And if I press and hold down on it, I can now click resize and it automatically takes me back there. So that makes it really easy to add pictures to your notes. Like maybe you're taking a picture of a notebook and then writing some notes based on it. You also have a camera, which you can use to take pictures immediately using the iPad camera, and then that adds it just the same way that you add a picture. It will add whatever the camera took right onto your notes. And you can also add text, which I honestly never did, but if we hit that, the little text, you see that the on-screen keyboard comes up and you can start typing with that. You see that for your text, you can make it bold, italics, you can change the color of it, you can change the style of it, so you really get to customize it a lot if that's what you like to do. If you like to type your notes, then you have that option. I personally don't write by typing my notes, because I know that if I write my notes, then I'll be able to remember it more, and that I'll be actually paying attention more in class, because I'm not just like a robot taking down the notes. I'm actually absorbing it and then trying to write down what I believe is most important while I'm writing it. But if it works better for you to type your notes, then you have that option, and that's completely fine. So before we get actually into how I would write during a class, I'm just going to talk about the bar up here. So you can change the title of it, last edit, pages, move it to a different folder. Your colors, basic colors, you have presets or custom or even a wheel. So I usually stick to the presets, they're pretty good. And you get presets over here as well, so you can quickly switch between the colors that you want. Undo, redo, plus to add a page right to your notes. So you can do that by going there to the plus, or what you could do is pull to add a page, and then it automatically adds the exact same page that I had above. So let's say I wanted to add a page, but I want to add a page as an image. Then if I click to pull and add a page, it would pull to add the same image. It wouldn't pull a piece of paper, basically. You can also enter no writing mode, so this could be used for just strictly looking at the document or whatever you've written. So this is really good for when you're showing your friends, or if you're sharing your notes with people like quickly in class, then you know they won't mess up your notes or anything. They can just view it, and that's all. And you can quickly just switch between the two. Over here, you can copy the page, rotate it, change the template, all these different options. You can clear the page, you can go to a specific page, and really all these options, they're good. I never used them for when I took notes, but one thing that is worth noting is the scrolling direction. So if you want to scroll vertically, I usually left it like that because it was more natural when I was writing to just keep going. But what you could also do is have more of a traditional notebook and horizontally go by pages. So let's say you want to do it like that, like an actual notebook, then you could do it like that as well. Over here is the search that I was talking about a little bit before. So if you want to search for a specific word, like I have quick over there, so I'm going to type in quick. It's going to look page 2, the quick. It'll find it right there. The language is over there, and as you can see, I click it and it's going to take me to the page that I searched. So I really like that because if your notes get really long and you need to find something specific, like maybe it's exam time and you're going through your different units, you can use that to really quickly switch between the different units. Over here you can see all the pages that you have. So it's like a grid layout of all the pages that you have in your notebook. You have your favorites, your outlines, thumbnails of the different pages. So if you want to go to page 4, you just click there, you're on page 4. Cover, you go to the cover. Pretty simple. You can also bookmark pages if they're really important. So let's say I bookmark this business page or notebook specifically, I can go to my favorites and you can see that it has the notebook and it has the page that it was actually on. And as you can see, there's like a little picture of the notebook cover to show where it's coming from. So I really like that because you can favorite certain pages that you would have and you can go directly to them right there. So it's like a little bit of a shortcut to get to the really important pages. Okay, so here I have one of my actual notes that I took in school. This was elements of short fiction that I took for English. And I took this note on February 4th, 2019. And I think it's really important to date all of your notes because it helps you just stay organized and keep on track of when you took the notes and really just know what you were doing and when you were doing it. And I think it's also cool to look at the date and just see how far you've come over the semester. So like right now it is August 30th, 2019 and this is February 4th. So you can really just like look back on your old notes and it's kind of special to see how far you've come. So at the top, I start with the title, so elements of short fiction, and then I just use the shape tool to make a straight line, and I just always underline my titles so that that's what I know what I'm actually going to be writing about. For my subtitles, I also underline them, and as you can see, like I capitalize it. Same thing with the title up here, and I do that just to show the difference between the notes versus the actual title. And then as you can see here, I don't necessarily copy sentence for sentence what the teacher has on the projector. That's not really a good way of understanding the notes. What's better to do, well, in my opinion at least, is to make points that you summarize yourself, because if you do that, then you're taking in the information, absorbing it, and then putting it onto your page, leaving only the necessities in your notes. So over here I use little arrows that I just draw out to put important information, and as you can see, I also color code things that I think I should remember, and I'll color code certain things, and maybe if I have definitions or something of that sort, I'll color coded something else. So really you can do whatever you want when it comes to color coding and highlighting and all of that. It's just what you want to be able to notice and what you want to stick, because whatever you color code or whatever you highlight, that's going to be what sticks in your head. So over here I was writing about length. I have all my points right here. And then for characters, as you can see, I switch over to bullet points because it was a different section that we were talking about. So I have characters and what they're revealed by, and then I have a list of the things that characters are revealed by. So I color coded all of what the characters are revealed by because that is something important that I should remember, and knowing that that actually appeared on future tests, quiz, I think even on my exam that was a question. If you don't ask your teacher, at least try and gauge for yourself what you think is going to be most important and make sure that you can see that and make sure it's very obvious to you. So also here I have a definition for the main character. So obviously I didn't write down the main character is the protagonist because that's just wasting time. I just wrote main character equals protagonist. Force that opposes protagonist equals antagonist. And I just continue doing that for the rest of my notes, just making points instead of writing out complete sentences. And over here, I have a little diagram that I drew out that my teacher wanted us to copy out. And during class, I just drew this out. And rather than taking a picture of it, because I could obviously do that with the camera, I decided to draw it out just so that it would stick in my head a little bit more. And really the things that you want to stick in your head, you're going to want to write down. So over here for climax, again, the underline, the indent, the arrow. And then for my examples, so the examples of different climaxes, I put those in green to show that those are examples. And I color coded that just so that I would know that that's an example, not part of the definition itself. So I just continued doing that for the rest of the notes in the same way, always underlining my title, giving my little jot notes of what we were talking about underneath, continuing to color code. Now here specifically when we were talking about the components of a conflict, so you can see here I stick to the same thing, underline with the definition indented, but then underneath that I actually have this subsection of little titles and little explanations, because when it comes to conflict, there are different conflicts within conflict. So it's not just conflict definition. There's conflict, then there's person versus person, person versus self, person versus society / the environment. So all those things need their own little definitions. So over here I have conflict as my broad one, and then I narrow down into person versus person, and then I have my bullet point. So that way I see that, oh, conflict is made up of these things, person versus person is this. So that way I stay organized and I know exactly what my notes are talking about. And over here for style, I define everything within Style with these arrows and bullet points. So you don't only have to take notes. That's not what you're using the device for. You're using the device to simplify your school life. And this simplifies a lot of it because you don't have to waste time looking through paper, sharpening pencils, all of that. You can just get this out, you can answer the questions, and it really just helps you get everything done a little bit faster. It's also really cool when your teacher comes around and they're checking over the work and they see that you're writing on this device and they just start asking you questions about it, and it's really good to explain to them why you're using it and how much more simple it makes your school life. So like I had mentioned before, I said that you could take pictures and that you could use that to write everything onto the iPad. So what I did one day in class is I took a picture of a sheet that we had to answer, and I decided instead of writing it down on paper, I would just take a picture of it and then answer everything on the iPad itself. So as you can see, I've written it all down within the lines. And this was just really an interesting way to get down all this information, all this notes, and keep it within my English notes. Like I didn't have to have one set of notes on my iPad, one set of notes in my binder. It was just all together because I was able to put pictures directly onto the iPad itself. And something really cool about this way of taking notes, if I exit this notebook here, is that you can also transfer that way of doing it to all of your other classes. So for business, I didn't actually have that much notes. So what I did was instead of taking a picture, I actually added a picture like this, and I added it as an image. I scanned the page, I dropped it into Goodnotes 5, and then immediately just started doing the questions here. And something really cool about this too is that you could get really specific. Like something that I hated about doing worksheets like this is that for me personally, I just didn't have enough space to do it. I would always run out of space. My hand would get really cramped from having to write in such a small area. So even though I still have the exact same sheet here, you are able to zoom in all the way and really get specific and write down what you need to do. And it made it much more easy. I had everything right here on the device still. Didn't have to go back to my binder for anything. And it didn't cramp my hand or anything because I could just zoom in. And it was just honestly really good for doing stuff like math. If this was paper, I would not have been able to do this, because as you can see here, I have my different columns, I have my different steps of how I'm answering the question, and it just keeps everything way more organized than paper would. Also here I have a picture of some things that we had to know for a test, and I found this really useful because my teacher wrote this down at the end of class and I would not have had time to write it all down. So I just quickly got a picture of it, put it into Goodnotes 5, and then started answering all of the questions. And I just started answering all that right underneath, so that if I could be like, what is the purpose of money? I could look over here, lower down in my notes, and I could see the purposes of money right there. And actually over here, I completely planned out my media CPT that I had to do with my friend, and basically we just planned out the entire thing on my iPad, and I was able to send him a picture of everything that we were supposed to do, and we were just really easily able to get it done because everything was here and we didn't have to lose any pages because it was synced onto my device. So that just about concludes Goodnotes 5 for me. This is what I used as a student. These are the features that I used. There's plenty of features that if you buy it, you could go and you could look through it. Goodnotes 5 does cost money. It costs around $10, I believe, on the App Store, so it isn't that bad. And it's a really good investment in my opinion. This really helped me take notes, be organized in school, and I really think that if you're a student and you're taking notes, don't use the Apple Notes. Just invest in a really good note-taking app and it will really help benefit you. So thank you guys for watching. I know that this has been a long video, so thank you so much for watching. Share this video. It's back to school season, so if anybody needs to know how to take notes digitally, share this video with them. Thanks for watching, and if I've missed anything, leave a comment and it'll get answered. Until then, I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.